All right, well, welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevin.
I'm Tarsha.
And this is, of course, Conversations with the Crawleys, where we have conversations about faith, family, relationships. And we do recaps, reviews, commentary, and
Wow, it sounds like a lot.
talk about our favorite shows and the characters, the people, the participants of those shows. So if this is content that you enjoy, y'all already know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, hit the request notifications, like,
and share.
And we will see you in the comments. This one is all about Put a Ring on It.
Yep.
Season 3, the Crazy Edition.
This is the Crazy Edition. I think these are the most interesting people.
Interesting to being nice, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Y'all saw last week, Shae was about, y'all saw the caption, Shae was about to get served Detroit style, because
that plate was way back.
She went back to Saginaw, Michigan with that plate and was about to bring it over Shae's head. And so Shae is like, she doesn't think she overreacted.
I find that very interesting. And
Shae doesn't have self-awareness then.
Well, it just depends on who you hang around. If everyone you hang around,
that's true,
acts that way, and I feel like you're overboard with it, then, and it brings you out of character.
Yep.
But again, if all your female friends, that's how they act around their men, and when stuff pop off,
I'm just saying,
it could end you up in jail. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying, my money would have been on Tay Cherie.
That girl, she was ready.
Tay Cherie looked like
she's like, I take in smoke. But I feel like you lose your power.
Right.
If someone can get you out of your character,
yep,
and have you act a fool, because that's what it seems like from the outside, especially over some dude.
Right.
If you are getting upset enough to assault someone,
process that you signed up for,
exactly, and in a public place
that you were made aware of,
ahead of time.
Yeah.
So for someone, to me, you done lost all your power. You're out of control.
Yep. So after Fonzo and Shae, after he's like, look, let me get this girl home before she catch a case or catch a beat down.
Okay.
Asar and Tay Cherie sit down and they start having a meal.
Right. Like, look, he's like, bro, man was like, I'm still hungry. Are you still hungry?
Like, look, they brought my food out.
I was
trying to have a meal.
I was trying to have a meal, enjoy my time. And they start talking. She's like, you look nice. Well, you look nice too, you know. Oh, your meal? He's like, yeah, we didn't even get a chance to eat, you know. Your first date, my first date.
I'm just curious. We might see at the reunion if something breaks off between Asar and Tay Cherie. Right. Maybe the drama is what caused them to find each other.
Hey, you know, and he was just like, he looked shocked.
Yes.
That someone would act like that.
Yes.
And when other people feel shocked about how you reacted and you have no qualms about how you act,
yeah,
that's a lot.
All right. So then Kenneth and Shorty, they are going on their dates. Guy by the name of Tavi comes to the house. Tavi.
We apologize in advance.
Yeah. But Kenneth pats him down, and it's like, okay.
Talking about he used to be
body security at a strip club.
I believe it. And so, so again, he comes in, you know, and he like, oh, you here from, you know, date, blah, blah, blah. And she's just sitting there, you know, Shorty like, oh, okay. And then they decide to go.
Right. So they go to
probably a lounge or something.
Yeah, it's a bar.
Okay.
I looked it up. It's a bar. And what's interesting, so he orders a cocktail called Pussy Galore. And it sounds, but basically all their cocktails are based off of James Bond.
Oh,
is what I'm understanding when I look at it. So
cool.
A lot of them, it looks like
that was a character in one of them things. Yeah.
So I think that's where that came from.
Gotcha.
So you know, he orders the drink, she orders something, and then in comes Kenneth with his date, Santrell. She's 30 years old, and they're sitting down talking.
Yeah.
But what was interesting was Santrell just kept looking back at Shorty.
Right.
Like she would have a conversation with Kenneth, and then she back looking back, and Shorty's like, "Why is this girl staring at me? Like what?"
Right, because she was trying. I think out of all of them, they were the couple that were really trying to be focused. Because even
Kenneth
was more like, I'm focused on my date. This was that's what Dr. Nicole wants us to do. I really want to be a part of this process.
Right.
And so they're having conversation or whatever. And Kenneth is like, is she really supposed to be for me? You know, it is giving him question.
So he's basically wondering about the validity of their relationship. He's like, he may be in denial. And then Santrell she's like making a play. She's like, look, this was kind of awkward. Our attention, really her attention, was focused elsewhere. So she's like, she wants a second date. So we'll see. We don't know if she'll get one.
Right.
But Tavi definitely got points in Shorty's, book, because he kind of definitely was trying to keep the attention focused on them. And then when he's recognizing that, she's kind of getting a little tense because the girl keeps staring at her, all this stuff. Right. He kind of was like, hey, I think it's time to go, all that. So she kind of called it hero mode. He kind of became the hero for her in that situation. So we'll see. And then Dr. Nicole and Shae do meet.
Because after Shae's,
I'm sure producers was like, Dr. Nicole,
you might need
to come talk to this girl
because she might do something. She might cut him in his sleep.
Yeah. Wow.
You don't know how mad she is, because you don't know who she was mad at.
Right.
Was she mad at Fonzo and taking it out on the girl? Because I'm like, the girl really didn't say much, but she pouncing on her.
And she was like, what she said basically was what made her mad was that Fonzo and Taysheri acted like she wasn't there. That's what they were supposed to do, dummy. That was the plan. That was the goal, to see.
Listen, obviously it's more than that. She said even before they even had these dates that he's disrespected her, and girls come up to him and she's like not there.
Right.
Family hardly know until she walked up in the house. Didn't know.
True.
She was there.
True.
So yes, I hear her, but I would rather her say, this is just a buildup of all the times I'm supposed to be the most special person in his life.
Right. And
he doesn't recognize me. And I'm tired of it, so I try to take it out on the girl. Right. That would have been that's her true reality.
And I'd have been, okay, you know what? I completely get that.
Right.
So. But Dr. Nicole basically is like, you do realize that you're hindering your process because you're trying to make him respond the way you want him to respond, when the goal is you want to see how he responds to the story that he's writing. You want to see how he's going to handle this. If he wants you, he wants you. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But at the end of the process, there's going to be a decision made. And you're trying to force a decision instead of allowing him to go through the process, so that if he chooses you because he chooses you and not because you knocked the other girl out.
Right. Right.
Or got a case.
Right. You got to go to jail for it now. He got to bail you out.
Right.
Right. And that's the problem here. I think too many times we fall for this fantasy, and you're like, you have to complete my fantasy.
Right.
Why are you not completing how I want my life to turn out? Why you ain't taking care of me how I dream my life is going to turn out? Why you keep saying that you're going to love me and you're not doing what you need to do? So I got to force this to happen. And you're not going nowhere, as she says too. I'm just on that wheel. It's just the same cycle over and over again.
And then we find out that they did try to get married.
Yes.
That they actually went through the engagement process and went and stood before someone.
Correct.
But something happened where their paperwork wasn't signed because
the person
wasn't licensed in the state.
Right. And this is where I'm confused, because it was in Nevada.
It was in Vegas, because they were saying the person had to be a resident of Vegas. So if you went to, Vegas is, you do weddings, their wedding chapels all up and down in Vegas, right? So I don't know if they flew in somebody's cousin.
Right, thinking that they were going to do it like in a hotel room or something. I don't know. But that's the main part of the getting married part that somebody was supposed to make sure of.
Right.
I thought they were going to the courthouse. You know, you can get married. I'm assuming. Do you still do that today? Where you could go to the courthouse and get married by someone in your state,
by the justice of the peace, whatever. I'm sure. I believe that's still a process, right? I know here in Phoenix, in Arizona, there's not a need. It's just a matter of signing.
Yeah, you just signed some. You just went in there.
The marriage license.
Well, you went in and got signed up.
No, I did not here. Here in Phoenix, I don't have to get signed up.
Oh, you don't have to get signed up
in Phoenix, you don't have to get signed up. Now, other states that we've lived, the person who is, because we've married folks, right? Right. So the person in some states like Oklahoma, you've got to be registered with the state in order to marry people. Mm-hmm. In Illinois, I know I did someone's wedding, and it was just you basically just signed an affidavit or something with the marriage license. So each state has their own things, but for the person that's choosing to get married, I think that that's an integral piece to say, I want to have someone who's going to do my wedding. And yes, you would think that that person would have enough common sense. I know for us, that's one of the things we want to make sure to say, okay, what is it required in this state that I'm in? Especially if I'm not from the state.
If you're not from the state. Or the person who officiating you.
Right.
Because my parents married us and they had to figure out how to make it official when they signed ours. Right. Because they weren't living here.
They came from a different state to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
We are legit, right?
That's what I started thinking. Like, I'm just assuming he did his job because we got a marriage license.
Yeah.
And my name got changed.
And it's 26 years later, so it's good.
We married now if we ain't.
Right.
But so I'm really confused about how they're trying to figure out their relationship.
Right.
And she says, let me give you the timeline. Because this is the same time where a girl came saying that Fonzo was the love of her life. So unless this girl was crazy and needed to be in a mental hospital, that means she had some type of relationship with this person, with Fonzo.
Right.
But she still decided to marry him.
Right.
So again, this is where I'm talking about where fantasy and reality don't meet up.
Right.
And now you're trying to force something for someone who's not indicating or does not have the ability to treat you and love you like the way you should.
Right. All right, let me had a song just pop in my head, but it's okay. I'm not going to sing it this time.
Okay, what was it?
Treat them like they want to be treated.
Who's that?
I don't know. Treat them like they want to be treated. Treat them right. No, I'm just putting my country my country thing on it. All right.
Alrighty.
So then the men are playing pool.
Yes.
They were just basically gassing each other up in many respects.
Pretty much.
Especially when Fonzo starts to tell Kenny and give Kenny some advice. First of all, let's just say, Fonzo, bruh, you got to work on yourself too.
Right.
But now I recognize the fact that you looking at, okay, who ain't got it together the least? Kenny, you need to work on yourself.
If anybody did, he's like, at least I'm in the business and I make my own money. I got at least a chain to show for it and a house to show for it.
Right.
So, yeah, bro, come up.
He was like, Kenny, you work on yourself.
Right.
And then Otis says that he's argued out, that he, they get to a toxic level. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with him.
And I can see that happening.
I can see that.
So then group therapy happens where they're all sitting there with Dr. Nicole. And so then, she's asking about the dates, and she starts with Shorty and Kenneth. Mm-hmm. And Kenneth is like, the attraction for him to the women isn't there. Mm-hmm. Shorty's like, that's a lie. He just attracted to women that are out of his league. And so she basically, she also talks about how he was misleading initially about his stability, about his maturity, about his money. He basically presented himself in a way that was not congruent with who he is.
Pretty much.
But that she fell in love with him by that time. Here's my, you want to, dude, and What's love but a second-hand emotion?
Oh my God. I'm like this. Ain't that much love in the world if I find out you weren't being truthful. If I find out that you've been riding around in somebody else's car and pretending it's your Benz, that you doing all this work.
If you tell me you own the strip club, but you just about
right. I'm watching the door as an owner. Right. I'll be like, you've lost trust with me. So how much do you really make? How much do you really do? Well, I'm not leaving you because how much you made. I'm telling you now you were being dishonest.
Right.
And I can't be with anyone who's going to be dishonest.
So I fell in love with your representative.
Right.
And since your representative does no longer exists,
you don't exist in my life.
I'm not in love with you.
Right.
I started falling in love with your representative.
Right. So love leaves when the representative left.
So, but I mean, here's the thing. To say that bruh man is attracted, I said bruh man from the fifth floor. Bruh man is attracted to women that are out of his league.
He got you? So I'm like this. What does it say about you? Because it is a teardown for a man when you're going to tell him, and he says this. So you're trying to say I don't have the ability to do more or whatever. That makes me feel bad. That makes me, and I'm like, but you keep, and you had a time to let him go, and because of his stalkerish ways, people try to pass it on to you as passion. You decide to stay with them. So that means as a woman who has stuff, you're attracted to men that don't have anything?
Let me put it this way. All right. That'd be like a top NBA team, any team you want, right? They find out this player who's on social media, and you see all the skills and all that, and you think, oh, okay, this might be a good player. Mm-hmm. You sign that player. Mm-hmm. Only to find out that all the shots were special effects and that he can't dribble. Mm-hmm. He has no skills and probably couldn't make his 8th grade basketball team. But you're like, well, we're committed. I fell in love with what he showed us on Instagram, so we're going to keep him around. You'd be the dumbest owner in the league. Likewise, Shorty, I'm going to fault Shorty for this. Mm-hmm. The fact that she's holding on to this and,
and blaming it on him.
Right. No, you have a decision making this also. Mm-hmm. And if he's not in your league, kick him out the league.
I'm just saying. That's what I'm just saying. Because to me, now, if he presented himself who he truly was, and you said, you know what, I see his hustle.
I see his grind.
He's going to get somewhere in life.
He's growing. He may not be there yet, but he's making those steps.
Right.
Cool.
Right. And so if that's the reason why you decided to say after he says, okay, this is really what I have, but I am working on something. And she's like, oh, baby, I love you still. We're going to work this out. You don't just pretty much all over him saying that he ain't worth anything. And that's the women he looks for, women so that he can just mooch off of, is pretty much what she's getting at.
Basically what she tried to get at.
I was like, then are you hindering him or are you helping him?
So yeah.
Yeah. It takes two to tango.
Yep.
So.
And if he ain't in your league, let him go.
And that's what I'm saying. I was like, I'm not faulting Kenneth. Because so far he's done everything he needed to do to survive. And that's what I look at, people who are couples, because they just want to survive. Mm-hmm. I need a warm body in bed. If you can do what at least I can't get from nobody else.
Hey, PG. We keep it a PG here.
I'm just saying, then it's worth it. Mm-hmm. And he gets to have a roof over his head and food and clothes.
Yeah.
So when people are in survivor mode, they do what they need to be in a relationship.
Yep.
So hopefully they get more out of it than this.
Yeah. So we'll see.
We'll see.
Then Otis and Charlie. Otis starts talking about how he's learned to trust her, because of that other date. And so then we find out was like, well, I'm gonna go ahead and speak my truth. I'm gonna just say, yeah, I've been DMing Milan. Charlie was like, oh, really? You gonna say that? You could have said that you could have said that on the car ride over here. You could have said it that night. You could have said it any time other than springing it on me on national TV while we're in front of here in front of everybody. She like, we done.
I don't believe her.
I don't either.
I don't. Man. To me, I was like, you should have been, based off of what we're hearing, you should have been done a long time ago.
There's other things, right?
Because of the way you talk to each other in your relationship, the way you handle things. Mm-hmm. So it takes him DMing somebody to now for you to be finally over after 3 years of a relationship and you live with this person. I'm like, whatever. Mm-hmm. I was not amused. You know, she want the keys to the car. He's like, keys to the car. I'm like, look, y'all signed up for this. Mm-hmm. And if he's just DMing and he said there wasn't no boundaries, she says there was. I'm just like this. Then you need to get to the root of it. Mm-hmm. You know. But
yeah, because you know it's interesting because he says that there are no boundaries, what have you, but he tries to. It's almost like he tries to draw the distinction between texting and DMing.
Right. That's
the same thing, dummy. You're just using an app for one.
It's about the communication with someone of the opposite sex, which you were saying that you weren't attracted to.
Right. You're saying that she looks young, what have you, blah, blah, blah.
Right. But at the end of the day, you were. Right. And she's like, I think he's not being truthful and honest. And so you can't, but again, you can't make anyone be truthful and honest in this process. Nope. You can only control what you can control, and that's yourself. And this is what Dr. Nicole, it seems like she has to repeat herself quite often.
Several times, yep.
In this process so far about who can control what.
Right. Because Charlie called him a monster.
Yeah.
You're a monster. And then, which I was like, wow, that's... So that, and then, you know, Dr. Nicole, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It runs together after a while. Dr. Nicole starts to try to move on to Fonzo and Shae. Mm-hmm. And then you hear Charlie basically like, you want to embarrass me like that? Keep it up. I'm going to embarrass you.
Right. And I'm like, what's the tit for tat? First of all, I never condone anyone putting their finger in anyone's face.
Absolutely.
So let's get this straight. You want respect, and I believe she deserves respect, but she has to give respect back.
Yep.
And then again, don't stoop to his level.
Right.
Because you're not making the situation better, nor if you're helping your relationship. Because if y'all reconcile, then you have all of this other mess you did out of character.
Right.
Assuming your families don't raise you like this, and then you're going to put it on national TV. Again, we have to be thinking with our mind and common sense.
Yep.
Than trying to be all in our feelings about certain things that we can't control the other person.
Yeah.
Because she was like, do you want to share? Because Dr. Cole was like, are you going to share with us? Because I have to move on. Because there's other couples that I need to speak to.
Right.
And y'all need to be respectful as a couple.
And this is something that we'll address, on a one-on-one time.
Right.
So that was pretty much at the end because again, they're editing, they cut it right pretty much in there.
We didn't get to Alfred.
We do see basically it looks like she does drive off in the next episode, so we'll see.
Let's see if she come back for him.
But yeah, this group is interesting from top to bottom.
It is, and I think this is more in line with people who are at that juncture of saying they want to be married or not be married because of where they are in their situation, right? Yeah. Because one wants to get married and one doesn't.
But I think if we look at Shorty and Kenneth, I think that at least for them and even for Charlie and for Otis, I think that the writing's on the wall. I think, and just because again, I think Shae and Fonzo actually, I think they're already married. Is my personal opinion. Mm-hmm. But I think they end up married, right? But I think that for the other couples, I think it's really like, y'all know it ain't gonna work. Just have enough gumption to just let it go. Let it go.
Oh no.
Let it go.
Oh no.
They need to let it go.
Yeah, I agree with you. They're not picking the right partners that's gonna, again, we've talked about value and adding value.
And in your league.
And both ways, I guess.
True.
Both ways.
True.
And so with that being the case, we stay in these relationships and being toxic with one another, and we're not helping anyone grow,
right?
You know, or being able to be vulnerable. If we keep saying that you're the come up, and I should be glad I'm with you, you know, because I only pick certain people, you know, but.
So, all right. Well, listen, that's it for this recap. We will see you all next time. Have a great one. Be blessed. Bye.